Hi friends, in today's video we are taking a deep dive into Danessa Myricks Groundwork Blooming Romance. If you want to check out quick looks I did on my Sephora vid, I'll make sure to link that video card up above. Today we'll cover the swatches and ways to use this palette if you purchased it. And if you're thinking about it, this is not to coerce you. This is only if it's been on your radar and you weren't too sure about the shades. If you're my complexion, I consider myself to be medium tan. If you want to check out my Groundworks Defining Neutrals video, that's where I described more tools to use with the Velvet Pomade, the star formula for the Groundwork series, and what I found to be the best techniques when it comes to these textures, not only the Velvet Pomade, but the Shape and Fix powder. But today we're going into Blooming Romance, which, my goodness, took my breath away when I first saw this in person and opened it from the package. Definitely more beautiful in person, and these tones are up my alley. I understand if they're not, right? Depending on your complexion and your preference. I have an affinity towards rose, corals, lilacs, and peaches. I adore those tones. If you don't, generally, then Blooming Romance won't work for you. If you are more so on the neutral spectrum in terms of interest, if you find those shades are more appealing to you and overall easier for you to use, then maybe Defining Neutrals is a better choice. But I heard that Defining Neutrals is actually sold out currently on Sephora. But Danessa Myricks Beauty, I believe, holds a sale on the site twice a year, upwards of 30% off. So maybe good that you're waiting on either Defining Neutrals or Blooming Romance and making sure that you get a far better discount than you would get if Sephora was offering just 20% that you probably couldn't get anyway because you didn't spend enough during the year. So why don't we get into the swatches first? I'll go across the rows here. We'll start with Crush, Smitten. Let me do Smitten again. There we go. Dreamy, Allure, Desire, Adorn, Lovesick, Bliss, Evermore, and lastly we have ESUM. ESUM is the deepest shade out of the Velvet Pomades. You can see how it starts from lightest to, I would say, deep and warm. These two look similar. Let me hop on Danessa's page to see if the shade descriptions are available, as it will be nice to make that distinction, if there is, between the shades that look awfully close together. And Blooming Romance is actually sold out on Danessa's site. Whoa, congratulations. Oh, it was on the Sephora page, excuse me. Crush is a soft pink daisy, Smitten a light mauve rosebud, Dreamy a blushing pink peony, Allure a medium mauve orchid, Desire a soft peach dahlia, Adorn a burgundy red hibiscus, Lovesick a burnt garnet tulip, Bliss a toasted burgundy gladolia. Must be a flower I never heard of. Evermore is a dark mahogany cosmos. ESUM is a blackberry calla lily. And the corresponding Shape and Fix powders, again, we'll start with Crush, Smitten, which you can see more of in comparison to their Velvet Pomade counterpart. Dreamy, Allure, Desire, Adorn, Lovesick, Bliss, Evermore, and ESUM. You can see there's a lot more color richness from the Shape and Fix powders. That is on purpose. The Velvet Pomades are formulated to deliver less intense form of color where you could build upon and create more of that skin-like finish on the complexion, and the Shape and Fix powders are there to amplify the color more, even change the nuance a little bit. But you can see how both formulas are designed to work together to amplify, enhance each other. And if you wanted more color payoff from the Velvet Pomades, you will go in with the Velvet Pomades first, follow up with the Shape and Fix powders to turn up that color intensity like whoa, which is what we'll do in the demo. Now, I wanted to mention, I was going through my brushes, figuring out which are the best tools to use with Groundwork, and I remembered the beloved ESUM T47 that I had the pleasure of including in my brush kit that I collaborated with ESUM on years ago. This is the perfect brush because the brush head size is small enough to fit in the Velvet Pomade pan, and it is not super dense. It's medium density, all synthetic, great pickup, and fantastic blend. This is the primary brush that I'll be using throughout the demo, at least with the Velvet Pomades, and a variety of different brushes with the Shape and Fix depending on what I would like to achieve on cheeks or eyes. And if it's your first time encountering Groundworks from Danessa Myricks, these are face palettes. You can use them on eyes, cheeks, and lips. You heard that correctly. All over the entire face. Defining Neutrals was the first iteration from the Groundwork series, and now we have Blooming Romance. Who knows what the next one will be? I don't think Danessa will stop here because she is illustriously creative, and I think maybe there'll be a neon moment. I don't know, neon, pastel, maybe it will be like undertone, like all cool or all warm. Who knows? And you're wondering, what do I have on the face? All right, so as I mentioned in my Sephora video, my Rare Beauty Soft Pinch Blush arrived crushed. I was going to exchange it for another one, but then I tested out the Dior Glow Maximizer in Rosy, and they also had Peachy. I actually have it on my face. I tapped it on while I was at Sephora, and man, this product is outstanding. My goodness. And I didn't realize the Dior Maximizer shades are flying off the shelves, both in store and online. So many X's across the board. So I tapped on Rosy, I got Peachy, and did an exchange for another look. I decided to just give back the Rare Beauty because in essence, I figured that product is just way too delicate for me to handle. Even if I bought it unbroken, at some point it will probably break if I mishandle it in some way, or maybe express my best efforts for it to not break and it will still break because it's like the Pat McGrath under eye blurring powder. That powder has cracked on me as well. So I just don't want to worry about it. And I think the Dior Glow Maximizer is just more durable and sturdy and ain't gonna break like the Rare Beauty. I also got Peachy, friends. Oh my gosh. This shade right here, oh my gosh. With Rosy, I have Rosy on and my beloved Prada on the lips. Unfortunately, the bullet broke. It broke. I'm figuring out, okay, I'm wondering if I should just put it in one of those lip tin things and wear it as I described it, a tinted matte balm, and just smear it on whenever I need my caramel moment. All right, now that we have swatches out the way and that Sephora tangent out the way as well, it's time for you to come in a little closer. That's enough. Let's start with a fresh face. I will remove the Dior Glow Maximizer, and I'm excited to combine it with Blooming Romance because, as you probably have already been able to tell from the swatches, it is a matte palette across the board, from Velvet Pomade to Shape and Fix powders. If you wanted more of a glow, sheen, highlight effect, you will have to rely on something outside of Blooming Romance. I'm not crazy about Danessa's Dew Balm. That doesn't set completely and it feels a little heavy on the skin. Glow Maximizer, goated. As well as their Star Filter, which I will actually apply alongside my Peach and Lily moisturizer, because this is my typical prep step I do before applying my makeup. Although I don't use skincare morning and evening anymore, I do rely on skincare as an appropriate step to take to prep the skin for makeup so it doesn't look dry, as my skin tends to be on the drier side since I no longer apply moisturizer and all that stuff. I might have to redo my brows. Gotta redo the brows. They're looking a little, I'll just do a little bit of fluff. I did use my Goof Proof pencil earlier, as well as the new Precisely My Brow Wax. I love that product because it stays, or rather it holds structure. It remains on my brows where if I need to give them an extra fluff, the product remains and will still leave behind more of that structure. You know what I mean? All right, Peach and Lily is on, followed with the Star Filter from Dior in the shade 3N. Spectacular. My goodness, I can't get enough of this stuff. And I know I have the Auric, but I don't know. I will have to do a side-by-side comparison of this product with the Auric. We got a little boo-boo there. It's all right. One of you had mentioned your complexion routine where you apply the star filter first and Danessa's blurring balm after. That's a nice comment. You know what? I'm going to do that right now. I have the blurring balm in both 6 and 7. 6 is my all over shade and 7 is more of my bronzing moment if I wanted that heat. But I could also rely on Harvest from Defining Neutrals. Why is it so hard to take out the spatula, for crying out loud? Talk to me down below, friends. Have you started using Blooming Romance? If you purchased it, what are your thoughts on it? How do you like it? I'm gonna take some here, and I do like to apply the blurring balm with my fingers. I feel it works the product better into my skin, and with the star filter underneath, it allows it to be a little more ethereal in terms of the finish, because the blurring balm is formulated to leave behind a soft matte finish and to combat excess oil and sweat that might occur on the face, so you don't have to continually reapply throughout the day, and the complexion will remain looking fresh and not sweaty bere, you know what I mean? And I'm taking my finger around the portions that need a little more coverage, especially here on my lip, because my allergies are not behaving today. I had to keep my window open all night since I am a hot sleeper with all this lead mask that I'm putting on, and it's not quite hot enough for the AC. We're in that weird like in between space when it comes to temperature at this time in April. Ooh, I like this a lot. I know it's a pain to use your hands because now they're dirty and you will have to wipe them off to get the excess makeup off. And around the brows, a little tricky, and fine. I could just use a brush here to tackle that. And that's not too bad. That looks great. Wow. Maybe, okay, I was thinking about getting the Lisa Eldridge skin tint, but I feel this is giving me a little skin tint energy. What do you think down below? It's not too heavy. It's not the same as the Suku, but I didn't want to buy another complexion product. I'm kind of happy with what's happening now with the blurring balm and the star filter. Renegade twist, get back in there. How about a little bit of concealer, however? Let's do that. And I've been using Natasha Denona's High Glam, yeah, R5 and NP10. R5 more on the inner parts of the under eye, and NP10 on the corners here on the out, because R5 by itself a little too light. Combined with the NP10, however, balances it out. Cause see how bright that can be with just R5 alone. And I'm not a particular fan of that high contrast look. Super bright under eyes and everything else is more balanced on the skin. I like to take it a little more center in terms of the color, and that looks a lot better. Ooh, I love how this is looking. Why did I give myself a blemish? For crying out loud, it started off so small. It was tiny. If only I just left it alone. That is looking good so far. I have to use a mirror because if I just rely on the viewfinder, that could lead to some problems. Again, I could go with 7 for some bronzing and leave it at that, but since we are highlighting the spectacular Blooming Romance, I wanted to start with Dreamy and also Desire to show you the difference in undertones. Dreamy is more hibiscus, Desire more peach. Where is my T47? I just had it. Let's do Dreamy first on one side of the face, and I like to swipe through the Velvet Pomade as I think that's the best way to pick up the product, and now pouncing that on the majority of my cheek. And you see how easily the color deposits, how pretty easy it is to blend out. It basically blends itself. The Velvet Pomade is an excellent formula, although I understand, and I said this in my Groundwork's video where I understand how it can have a little bit of a learning curve in terms of choosing the right brush, choosing the right application technique for your complexion, and why I think these shades are a little more forgiving. Although you could make the argument that, let's go with Desire, that the neutrals are easier to apply and blend, right? I get both sides. I find when it comes to blush tones, peaches, hibiscus, lilac, and all that stuff, you can't go wrong with these shades. I mean, they're virtually foolproof. And the way you can just slap them on any region of your cheek, low or high, it's going to look great. I wouldn't necessarily use the Shape and Fix powders for my cheeks. I think that will bring in a little too much color in the mix, although you definitely can, but just be careful, right? Because it's going to amplify the color like, whoa. Something Danessa did that totally sold me on this palette, it was like what pulled the trigger on my decision, is I think she used Crush as an under eye powder, and I found that led to a beautiful highlight here. And it's not going to appear pink. It will just brighten up the under eye area in a way that has that highlight effect while still remaining matte. It doesn't look shimmery. And the powder itself is smooth there under the eyes. You just need a little bit. You don't need much. And even just this is nice. Now, granted, I have the Prada lipstick on, the soft matte in caramel. I can put a little bit of Dreamy on the lips. See what that looks like. It's gonna make it more pink for sure. However, that looks nice. Just this, right? I could just stop right here. This is fresh, spring-like, makeup barely there, but there's still. What I would like to do, however, again, I saw Danessa do this, is use the lighter mauve lilac shades as to create a softer gradient effect closer to your under eye. I think I want to pair Smitten with Desire. I'll take some Smitten and just tap it here on the edge. And isn't that beautiful? It leaves behind more of a mauve tone in terms of the color, but when combined with Dreamy, or excuse me, yes, no, what did I think this is Desire. Dreamy was this side, yes. It just enhances the overall look of the blush, and the star filter is showing through from underneath. Great step to take, especially if you're using the blurring balm and you don't want to apply an exclusive highlighter on your cheekbones. You want something to reveal the glow from underneath, and I think this is a great way to achieve that, because when I turn my head, I don't have any additional highlighter. The Velvet Pomades are a soft matte finish, but you still see that finish on the cheekbone. And now Allure on the Dreamy side. Yes, I gotta be careful because the brush head is small, but it could pick up the Shape and Fix powder if I'm not careful. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Now I'm sure you're wondering, hold on, let me get it. The ESUM Harmony palette, how it compares to Danessa's Blooming Romance. Blooming Romance doesn't have the terracotta and the mustard shades, and ESUM is all powder, albeit still smooth to blend. So you could kind of see what the major differences are. The Velvet Pomade, although as easy as these ESUM powders are to blend on cheeks and eyes, excuse me, the Velvet Pomades are going to be a little easier because it's more of a cream hybrid product, and naturally that type of texture is just going to blend easier on the skin and appear a little more natural in finish. That's my main observation in terms of identifying the major differences between the two. But you could create more of a bracket of color if you wanted. I could go in with the first shades that we applied and tap that in and around my eyes and brows, so you can create that bracket of color. And look how that definitely enhances the complexion. It livens it up without necessarily applying eyeshadow. Something else I like to do is to now rely on the burgundy shades here. Let me pull up these shade descriptions again because I want to get more specific. Adorn here is our Burgundy Red Hibiscus, Lovesick Burnt Garnet. Bliss, we're looking at Toasted Burgundy, Dark Mahogany, Blackberry. Okay, any of these shades can do well in the hollows of the cheeks. I would argue Adorn will probably be great on the greater cheek area. You see how that appears more red? That's going to give you, it's actually reminding me of Natasha's Berry Cheek Pop Trio. This is like within the wheelhouse of color that's giving. So if you want it more berry, then Adorn, this shade here, will deliver that mood for you 100%. And although I applied a bunch of velvet pomades, the skin still appears fairly smooth. It doesn't look heavy with makeup, and I can just gently pounce here without any additional product to further blend that into the skin. Ooh, that's pretty. What I did in my Sephora video, I think it was Bliss. It was either Bliss or Lovesick. I used either of these shades. Let me go in with Bliss here. This one. Into the hollows. A fantastic way to add structure without necessarily using a contour shade or even a bronze shade. If you want more of a traditional contour bronzing moment, then defining neutrals will be your best bet. But if you still want structure but want these shades, then Bliss, Evermore, even EXO, if you're deeper complected, EXO can be fantastic as not only an all over cheek color, but you could probably build it up if you add the Shape and Fix for a little bit of a sculpt moment through the cheekbones. And we are looking blushed out of our minds. I'm taking my Sonia G brush here, my jumbo base, just to take away a little bit of product here. I could also go in with the blurring balm if I wanted to soften that look, but we're doing all right. I would like to continue on with the eyes because I'm excited to just experiment with what these shades have to offer. I primarily used Evermore and EXO on the crease and outer lid in my Sephora video. Now I want to experiment using the lighter shades and maybe the deeper shades more as like accents instead of just smoky. I'm trying to find my Sonia G Fusion brush. Hello. Drat. I don't know where it is, but we'll use the Rephr Synthetic brush in B03 as this has pretty good pickup. Let's start with Dreamy. And I'll apply this on the entire lid from inner corner all the way out to the outer corner. And this is where I think the Shape and Fix powders come in clutch, because the velvet pomades, given how zhuzhy they are, won't last as long on the lids as a powder would. And adding the Shape and Fix on top will reinforce not only the staying power, but also will enhance the color overall. And I'm tapping the Dreamy Shape and Fix powder over the Dreamy velvet pomade. That's pretty. Wow, what a lovely color. And I'm taking Shape and Fix under the eyes, as I like to place the same color on the under lash line as I do on my lid. Whiskety whisk. What about, I think I want to do Crush, but let's take a smaller shader brush. I am so disorganized today. Crush will be our highlight moment, and I'll place that on the inner corner and take a little bit here on the inner part of my lid to envelop Dreamy so it can have that nice gradient effect. And I'll take some here on the lower inner corner, and actually I'll take the Crush Shape and Fix powder to reinforce that highlight, yes, on the inner corner. Oh, that's nice. As well as Crush here on the brow bone. This palette is absolutely gorgeous. I can't stand it. I'm gonna try to exclusively keep this a Danessa video, but who am I kidding? I am dying to see how the Glow blush, or what am I saying? I'm combining products. The Dior Glow Maximizer will look on the Danessa. I also have the LYS Higher Standard Glow Blush Stick, but now I'm like, I really like the LYS. I like the LYS a lot, but because I already bought 2 Dior Glow Maximizers, should I just return the LYS? But I don't want to add to the landfill. I'll use both. I'm going to keep the LYS. I'm going to keep the LYS because the LYS is a little more terracotta, whereas the Dior, the rosy, is more pink and the peachy, more peachy. Okay, I just had to fix the brows there for a minute because they were looking a little crazy. With a smaller brush, now with Evermore, I'll apply the, well, I could apply the Velvet Pomade first here on the lash line for more definition, but I'm gonna go in right away with the Shape and Fix powder because the Shape and Fix powder I think will have better adherence on top of the Velvet Pomade that is dominating the majority of my lid, even though I set it with the Shape and Fix powder in the same shade. Just tapping on the Shape and Fix from Evermore, I'm having better success in intensifying the color, but also getting that nice soft wing. Oh, this is pretty. Okay, we like what's happening. Desire. Actually, I want to try Allure. I want to see what Allure is doing all by itself because I love me a lilac. Lilacs are pretty. Wiping the color off my refer brush, let's zhuzh ourselves some Velvet Pomade in Allure and see how that looks on the lid. This will appear a lot lighter because it is one of the lighter shades from Blooming Romance, but as we saw, I think this is it right here. Allure is giving some color from the Shape Fix powder, you know what I mean? So although it might appear quite light from a Velvet Pomade perspective, let's go in with the Shape and Fix right now, see what that does. There we go. Granted, it's still lighter than the other shades in here, but isn't that lovely? That you can't go wrong with mauve, all right? Mauve me to death. Another reason why I adore Byredo's Remembrance. Yes, I also saw that they're coming out with Mineralscapes. That's lovely. What a lovely color. I kind of want to do I want to add a liner? I want to, okay. XO with the Shape and Fix powder, tappity tap on the outer V. I gotta hand it to the Shape and Fix powder texture. Smooth and silky, easy to blend. I mean, I'm just tapping and the powders virtually blend themselves. It doesn't take much manipulation whatsoever. And I think Allure and XO are a lovely pairing, considering that XO is described to be a blackberry and Allure, what did Allure say that it was? Medium mauve orchid. Oh, we got a little whoa, hold on. Got a little too messy there. Hey. That was my fault. The refer brush probably a little too large for that lower lash line application. But you know what we can do? We can go in with Smitten Velvet Pomade, however, and use that color to clean up, but also add color. So it doesn't look like a blanked out space, but instead it just kind of finds its way into the gradient that naturally occurs when combining these colors. We fixed it. We could dip out and add another shade here for the highlighter, but I'll go in with Crush again, our soft baby pink in the Velvet Pomade, inner corner, and apply that here and on top and bottom. And I am putting a beauty mark here. a little better. Now, because I already have my product lipstick, I'm going to reapply that. Or I could do Sparrow. Maybe I can do Sparrow. Sparrow has been just a tremendous addition to my lipstick collection. And one of you had asked if I have ever filmed like my favorite nude lipstick. I haven't yet, going with Sparrow. But I would like to do, if anything, my favorite neutrals. I think that's a more accurate description of the majority of my shades, because although this might not be a nude, is considered to be a deep neutral rose, I still consider it neutral, you know what I mean? Oh, that's pretty. We like what's happening. I could also use a little bit of Candid, because Candid with Sparrow, I think a lovely matchup. For crying out loud, where is it? Oh, I know where it is. Hold on. It was in my backpack. I just want to add a little bit of peony on the center. This lipstick also broke, but it arrived broken, unfortunately. I didn't break it. Peony on the center for a little bit of highlight. Oh, that's pretty. Wait a minute. Peony on its own, I wasn't crazy about, but peony on top of Sparrow is doing something. It's doing something. I could try to salvage the broken bullet situation. I tried to salvage it with my Prada yesterday and taking my burner and melting the base of the lipstick bullet and attempting for it to kind of fuse together, but I'll try it again and I'll put it in the freezer, see what happens. But man, this right now, it's okay. Now that I've gushed enough, let's apply some lashes and I'll be right back. Here is the final look, and I applied my Auric Velvet Cloud. What is it called? The Velvet Flutter lashes in Clouded. And I took the photo for my thumbnails, and I want to catfish you because I want to apply the Dior. Ideally, listen, realistically, friends, I would apply all the products, okay? You want to see some swatches? Here is Peach. Peachy is pretty. Also, the bronze. The bronze is not like a tan bronze. It's more of a rosy bronze. You know how I feel about the rosy bronze, okay? Here is Rosy from the Dior. You can detect there's a little more pink. Let's also, while we're here, swatch the LYS in Focused. So this is the LYS. This is the difference in finish. The LYS is going to give... They both have shimmer, but you see this is a cream. These are both liquid. And I'm trying to turn my hand so you can see the difference in undertone. My apologies for my veins on that, which is why I rarely swatch here. So you see why? Because it just distorts the finish of the swatches. Let's go in with Peachy. I feel like Peachy, this was the dreamy side, I recall. So let's stay consistent with like the undertone of things. What did I do with, I just had it, where did it go? ... You know what this also reminds me of? Charlotte Tilbury, darling. The Peach Gasm? All the gasms. But I don't like that sponge tip applicator. I think it's gross. Not to say doe foot is enormously better, but a little better. Oh, this is nice. Oh my goodness. It doesn't look heavy. It applied with the Velvet Pomade beautifully well. I mean, there's no line of demarcation. Okay, it's just to ensure the best blend. Yes, take the brush you use to apply the Velvet Pomade with and just pounce all over the region. Oh man, this is too much, friends. I can't take it. Gotta go in with Rosy on the other side because I feel Rosy corresponds well to Dreamy. You know what I mean? And Rosy by itself is pretty. It's pretty as a standalone glow blush moment. Oh my goodness. Oh my heavens. Rosy has a richer color than Peachy. You can see the difference. Although I do have more blush, I feel, on this side from applying Adorn earlier. It is criminal how good these are. Absolutely criminal. Equally criminal how beautiful Blooming Romance is. I adore the look that I created. It was amazingly easy. Was it easier than defining neutrals? Yes, because there's more freedom for my complexion. I'm speaking for my complexion. I understand if you have a complexion and an undertone that does not pair well with these types of tones. I totally get it. For me, medium tan, these shades thrive on our complexion. You can't go wrong with whichever Velvet Pomade you choose to apply. Even the light one. The light one surprisingly doesn't appear chalky. It just provides highlight. I think that's crucial because now that just allows us to create highlight not only on the inner corner but also on the higher points of the cheeks if we want it highlight without it being shimmery. If we didn't want to go in with something like the Glow Maximizer from Dior, we could still create that gradient and it not be chalky in the finish and in the color. With defining neutrals, if it's your first time using it, you have to find the tones that do right by you on your cheeks for contouring and for bronzing. I've already identified those, right? So that's not a problem. And there is a lot of freedom when it comes to the eyes when applying those shades. You could go smoky, you could go cool, you could go warm. You just gotta be a little careful with the cheek shades so it doesn't look too dark or too off in terms of warm or cool or neutral. These though, it doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter if you apply this on the cheeks because the velvet pomades, again, they start off light so you can intensify the color, and it's not gonna look weird. You know what I mean? This is the criteria, okay? Number one, you gotta like these shades. If you don't like these shades, Blooming Romance will not be for you. Number two, being okay with the velvet pomade texture. You can have successful application with the velvet pomade if you have the right brush. Again, these shades make it virtually foolproof. You could just slap these on wherever you want, on the cheeks, on the tip, the forehead, around the eyes. It's just, the Shape and Fix powders, phenomenal. What can I say? This is an incredible palette, incredible. I am thoroughly happy that I purchased it, that I have defining neutrals as well so I could get better acquainted with the formula. I can't. And now with the Glow Maximizer and the Hourglass lipsticks, I can't take it. I can't take it. If you wanted to see more of a wine look, I'll save that for a YouTube short because I'm trying to spread the different applications and colors across different videos and not just have everything on one. So there's an incentive to watch both long form videos and my YouTube shorts because this was mainly to showcase my favorite application techniques and different ideas that you can use to get the most out of Blooming Romance. And again, if this isn't on your radar and you're just watching to keep you company, I appreciate you because again, if this type of makeup is not on your wavelength in terms of color, application, formula, then you're fine without it. If it is though, good luck. If you were eyeing the Lisa Eldridge tint like I am still, I would try the Blurring Balm and Dior Star Filter combination. I really liked how that turned out and I still do. It's giving me tint moment. I feel this is kind of like what Lisa Eldridge skin tint would give me, and I still have a lot of Blurring Balm left to use, and the skin tint is a permanent item. So down the line, and I know I'm approaching, we are Northeast, approaching summer, because I did consider getting the skin tint as more of a lighter option complexion wise to not use the Suku throughout the season, but the Blurring Balm is goated for summer. Like, it is literally formulated to combat excess oil and sweat and ensure a fresher looking complexion under those hot and humid conditions. So I might just stick with this until I finish it completely and then maybe get the Lisa. We shall see. Let me know down below, friends, your thoughts about Blooming Romance. If you used it already, if you have the Dior Glow Maximizer, if you have the Hourglass lipsticks, whatever it is, I would love to read your comments down below, and I'll see you down there. Until then, that is. Alright, thank you all so much for watching. I hope this video helped, and if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up or maybe consider subscribing to my channel. And until then, I will see you on here again with another review tutorial, Blooming Romance video, or a video looking at all the blushes that I have now acquired. That's going to be a lot of fun. Take care, and I will see you again soon.